Hey, after watching this video, check out the new PhoneDog.com homepage and play the One Pod Bandit for your chance to win free phones.
It's like a heavyweight prize fight. Or not, because, you know, you might think like this should be in the heavyweight prize fight. Or this. Or what'd I do with it? Maybe something like this. But, you know, that's what makes the industry fun, right? Is, or, you know, there's some others. Get this one. Or, well, there's a Nokia, but I don't have it on me right now. Anyway, point being, that's what makes this industry fun, is that there's more than one heavyweight prize fight to be found. But right now, we're going to focus on this one because it's the one that everybody's talking about. And frankly, you know, we like to give the people what they're asking for. And so that's what we're doing right now. It's a dogfight. Palm Pre, Apple iPhone 3G. So, you know, you probably already know about the devices. You also know that there's a new iPhone coming out, which really, not a whole lot different on the outside, but apparently on the inside, much faster processor, a few different tweaks, whatever. But we don't have that one yet. And the Palm Pre, my review loaner period is ending, so, you know, I can't wait for the new iPhone to come out. And also, who cares? Let's just do the dogfight, man. Let's do it right now. So it's the Palm Pre, the Apple iPhone 3G. Let's get into it. A couple things. Obviously, this little dock thing does not come with the iPhone, and the Pre right now is sitting on the Touchstone charger, which is an optional accessory. So we'll get those out of the way, and we'll just get you back to the devices themselves. A few things to, you know, mention here. I'm just going to run it through my opinions on, you know, the different facets of the phones and everything. Try to be, you know, objective and unbiased and everything, but also tell you my personal thoughts on it. Obviously, what I think may not be what you think. You know, watching a video like this is no substitute for going out and trying the thing out yourself. And especially when you're talking about these phones, you know, maybe $199 or $99 for the phone up front, but really when you look at what you're signing up for 2 years of service, you're talking about a couple $1,000. So definitely worth your time to check this out for yourself. These videos that we do, the reviews that we do, the reviews that anybody does, you know, they're meant to be helpful, but no substitute for your own opinion, right? If you happen, you know, if you're just like, look, man, I just want like a Nokia 1150, then do that. Get that. Nobody should tell you different. Okay, enough of that. So here are the two phones, the iPhone 3G, the Palm Pre. I actually have the Touchstone back on the Pre right now. I will show you the regular back, which comes with the Pre, which is a little bit glossier, you can see. The Touchstone back has a matte finish, a little grippier, because they need it for the Touchstone wireless induction charging system. I actually prefer the Touchstone back. I think it feels a little bit better in the hand. It's not as smudge-proof, or I mean not as smudge-prone, rather, a little more smudge-proof. And I just kind of like the way it makes the phone feel a little bit better. But this is what you get out of the box, is the flat, or the glossy plastic one instead. Anyway, and obviously this is the 8GB iPhone 3G in black. The Pre also 8 gigs of storage. Since we're looking at the back, the cameras, the Pre is a 3 megapixel camera, autofocus, and flash. iPhone 2 megapixel camera, megapixels, flash, whatever. They're both mediocre. Straight up, you know, I think they both take, if you have the optimal lighting conditions, they both can take a nice photo, but neither one's going to stand in for a digital photo. I don't care what anybody says. They're both mediocre at best, and these little LED flashlights, as excited as I get about them, they don't actually do all that much. So a slight edge in camera quality to the Pre, more megapixels, does have the flash, but neither one is any great shakes. So there's that. Again, the new iPhone will have an upgraded camera, but let's not talk about that. Neither one does video capture. The Pre, I would assume there'll be a video capture app coming. iPhone, if you jailbreak it, you can get a video capture app, or if, you know, the new one that's coming out, there you go. On top, both phones have a 3.5mm headphone jack, which is very nice. Makes it easy to use the device as a media player. They both come with kind of mediocre earbuds, but you can plug in your own, and I've plugged both of these phones into fancy earbuds, into, you know, fancy CAN style headphones into my stereo system, into my car stereo, etc., etc. They both perform great. You got a lock switch on both phones. The Pre has a ringer control switch on top. The iPhone has the ringer control switch on the side, and then both have a rocker on the side for volume control. That's kind of it, you know, as far as buttons and all that, except for the front home button, which we'll get to. The Pre has a micro USB port on the right panel there that you use for docking with a computer and for charging, unless you're using the touch-tone wireless charger. iPhone has the iPhone iPod dock on the bottom, which you use for everything. Again, you know, charging and connecting and accessories and all that kind of stuff. And then both devices have a single button on the front, the home button, but then the Pre obviously slides up to reveal a full QWERTY keyboard underneath. Screen-wise, you know, this is where we'll start to get into the actual sort of review of the phone. I'll actually say this first before we get into it. The Pre is an exclusive to Sprint. The iPhone 3G in America is an exclusive to AT&T. Your results, as far as carriers go, are going to vary depending on where you are, what coverage is like, the state of cell phone towers, you know, on your network, in your area, at a given time, etc., etc., etc. I will say this, from my testing over the last week that I've had the Pre in the San Francisco Bay Area of California, so I live and work in the East Bay, but I've been into San Francisco several times this week for different events. It's been no contest. Sprint on the Pre has outperformed AT&T on the iPhone by a country mile. No contest at all. Fewer drop calls, better voice quality, just much, much better. Data-wise, Sprint's the EVDO Rev A on the Pre and the HS DPA-based 3G on the iPhone. It's been pretty close data-wise when I have a good signal on both phones, which has been easier to get on the Pre. You know, data speed has been pretty similar, but overall, the Sprint performance in general on the Pre, much, much better than iPhone 3G. Again, that's just where I am, and I've talked to a lot of people on Twitter and on the PhoneDog website and stuff about that this week. And, you know, your results definitely will vary depending on where you are. But, so there you go. Both phones have Wi-Fi, as you can see. They're both hooked up to a Wi-Fi network right now. So there you go. The screens, you know, the Pre, they both are multi-touch capacitive. They're both great. So the Pre may have a slight edge over the iPhone when it comes to the accuracy of the multi-touch system. If it does, it's very close. But, you know, both excellent displays. You can see the Pre is physically smaller, the display, than the iPhone. But when I've actually been using it, at first I was like, oh, this is pretty small. But when I actually get into using it, it doesn't actually make that much of a difference, I'm finding. All right, so the first thing to talk about with these phones is, in addition to the design of the phones, just one more mention on the design. You can see, you know, the Pre is smaller but thicker because of the sliding mechanism than the iPhone. I personally have found, I know Palm wanted to design the Pre to be usable one-handed. Maybe it's because I have kind of large hands, I don't know. I've actually found it not, it's fine, but it's not super comfortable for me to use. And in particular, the keyboard's small, I've kind of gotten used to it. The keys are a little bit kind of grippy. If you're a Centro user or a Trio Pro user, you might kind of have an idea of what I'm talking about. Somebody described them as the texture of gummy bears, which is actually fairly accurate. A little harder than a tasty gummy bear, but, you know, kind of accurate. But got used to using the keyboard. I find the tray to be uncomfortable. I think the edges are a little sharp, and just the way I don't quite know how to hold it in my hand when I'm typing or when I'm using it one-handed, and these edges kind of dig in a little bit on my hands. I've talked to other people, some other reviewers say exactly what I've said. Other people are like, dude, you're crazy. It's totally fine. Stop complaining. So I'll leave that for you to decide. Me personally, I'm not thrilled with the ergonomics of the Pre. A little banana slider action, it does make it nice to hold up your phone, and having the slider is nice, you know, to be able to use it both. You know, you get the keyboard, obviously, and then you can slide it open to answer calls and that kind of thing. But I don't know. I tend to prefer the design of an all-in-one candy bar. There's another Palm WebOS phone that may or may not be coming out, codenamed the Pixie or the EOS, which is more of a Centro-style candy bar, the keyboard on the bottom. I'd be psyched to check that out. For now, again, I think the Pre's design is just fine. It's nice and lightweight. You know, I like the touchstone back on it and everything. but I'm not thrilled about the way it feels when it's open. But, you know, not a deal breaker by any stretch. Anyway, let's get back. We'll look at the OS here. And again, you know, the operating system is a big deal. The Pre's Web OS is a fantastic start, and I think this is going to be a great platform, especially if developers develop for it robustly. This is iPhone OS 3.0. It's not yet publicly available. Got kind of an early copy of it. It'll be available on June 17th. And the big thing with 3.0, several big things, landscape keyboard in messaging mode and across all the core apps, which is something I'm very happy for. Universal search now on the iPhone, so if you swipe to the right there, you get universal search, and I can start swiping for, typing rather for, let's say, TV, and I'll search for TV, and I get back anything that shows TV, so there's an app, there's iPod content. If I were to search instead, there's an email, so mail content that has the word TV in it. You can do the same thing with the Pre. You just start typing. And so yeah, so TV, I got a couple of contacts. I've got the Sprint TV app. If I hit find, I can then search online. So Pre's universal search also gets integrated to Google Maps, Wikipedia, Twitter, which is kind of cool. And as we show in a different video, it's similar with the music and video players. You can search for, let's say you're listening to, I think in the example we were listening to Crying, a song by TV on the radio, and we had the option to then go search for that song on Amazon MP3 or YouTube, which is kind of neat. But anyway, universal search on both phones now, which is great. But the Pre OS, the big calling card is the card system of multitasking.